Welcome to Beyond the Frames, where we explore the stories behind the pixels. I'm your host Tanmay, and today episode is all about the journey from a developer to designer, and from designer to a founder. We are joined here by Krishna Kumar. He has walked the path and now is building the path. Hey Krishna, welcome to the show.
Hey Tanmay, hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be back.
You started studying in Seamedu. You started as a developer, then you went as a designer
Right.
when you graduated, right?
Right.
So tell me, at the early days, how was it like?
So the story starts quite early for me, to be honest. I was one of those kids who, got their first interaction of technology very early in life. I remember I was about 6 years old. That's when I saw my nana play a game on the PC for the very first time. Now, of course, I wasn't allowed to touch his computer. It was like his holy grail. I can't really get close to that.
Yes.
But I remember the game he used to play was Age of Empires.
Age of Empires 1 or 2?
It was Age of Empires 2,
Oh,
Age of
wow.
Kings.
Yes.
Right,
Age
that was
of
the game.
Kings.
And I used to just wonder what he's doing on his PC and, shadow him from behind. I was, of course, not allowed to touch it. Every time he used to go to sleep, I had seen his password combination. I went onto the PC, logged in. And that was my first interaction or exposure to games. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing.
True.
I just went onto the PC, started playing something. But then I came across the tutorials and slowly, started spending more time with it. This went on for about at least 1 year, 2 years. Came across Minesweeper, Pinball, all the solitaire games.
Pinball?
Yeah, all the Windows XP games. The original.
Oh, yes.
The originals.
What about solitaire and what we say, hearts?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've played, I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
I remember my nana used to play it. I used to see the cards go up, and that was my, I was like, that's my gateway, that's my calling. And then I started playing solitaire, started playing Minesweeper. I didn't know how to play those games, but the more time I spent with it, the more comfortable I got with it, and started learning, this is how things work. But this was like the earliest exposure I had. Now, sooner or later, my mom found out that I've been playing games in the midnight because why is he not going to school?
Yes.
Why is he still not waking up? Because
Yes.
he's playing games at the night, right? So my mom caught me playing and she scolded me, of course. But then eventually my nana found out and he was like pretty supportive. He introduced me to the games, actually taught me how to play it. And then I realized, oh, this is what a game is. Up until then it was just like visuals and fun, but I actually understood what a game is back then. And again, at this time I was like 7 years old.
Still playing solitaire and
still
pinball?
playing the same games. That's all I knew. So I didn't even know how to operate a PC at this time. But yeah. Now what happened interestingly after that is right after 7 years old playing Age of Empires, I understood the games and everything.
Yes.
Sooner or later I wanted to explore more games, went online, searched for other games, and there was this one interesting MMORPG that I came across. This was a little bit later. But that was my initial introduction to the online community. I realized that you can actually get connected to players online. And that was the most interesting thing to me. Like, how am I getting connected with people across the globe?
Okay.
Of course, given the night owl I was, every person I was meeting was across seas. And they were all elder, 34-year-olds, 28-year-olds. And I'm like, 8, 9, I'm very young here. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Early years of exposure.
Yeah, I can't recall which the first MMORPG was for me.
Okay.
But sooner or later, I also got into Neverwinter. And that's the game that stuck with me even today. I still play it. But I've spent about like 12 years in that game now.
Neverwinter?
Yeah.
Neverwinter
sure.
online?
On and off, yeah. Neverwinter online.
So you started.
And that interestingly was my first introduction to D&D because that entire game is based on Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, I was going to ask you. Did it ever like when you played or when you were students? Since you played Neverwinter, did you ever start with D&D? Did you ever go into tabletops?
Not initially.
Okay.
But the second I heard of it, D&D started blowing up very recently everywhere. Like
that is true.
Stranger Things, Netflix.
Yes.
And it's been in other pop culture references. It also got very famous on YouTube and celebrities have started playing it, so I saw it there. Coming back to how this impacted my journey as this entire journey, that online exposure that I got, it introduced me to clans and guilds and playing in cooperation. Because one thing about MMORPGs is it's grindy as hell. You have to trade, there's economies, and there's tasks to do for everyone. So I joined this guild, and one of the guild leaders invited me on this website. And I'm like, okay, what are websites? Right? Because I've done Googling and everything. I've seen here and there YouTube videos and everything, but I don't actually understand the concept of a website.
Yes.
And that's where he invited me on this clan website and taught me how it functions, because you have forums and members and messages, events, God knows what all. And I was like overwhelmed. But, online community, amazing community. They got me boarded onto the entire process.
Yes.
And once I got hands on with that, I was like, hey, I want to make my own website like this. In a year's time, I knew the game well enough to actually start my own clan. And the first requirement, make my own website for my clan.
Yes.
So at this time, mind you, I'm like 11 or 12 at this time, approximately. And I had my own guild in an online game, which had like 200 members, and I'm leading it. And I'm leading events. And they're all like really supportive and cooperative, because again, it was about game knowledge. I had the economy knowledge, I had the mechanic knowledge, itemization, theory crafting. Yeah.
When you say 30 people, right, in a clan.
Yeah, 200 people.
200, sorry, 200 people in a clan.
Yeah.
And you're saying you organize with them.
Yes.
How would you keep track of who's doing what, or what timing it is?
Honestly, I don't know how many people have played this, but how you have guilds and then guild officers and you have rankings?
Yes.
So in my previous guild, I got introduced to that, and I was close friends with the old guild leader. And I had taken a break from the game for about 2 months, left that guild, came back, and I decided, now I have friends. I also remember introducing some of my nearby friends, local friends onto the game, and I was like, what, let's just make a clan together. That went up. They left the game eventually, but I continued on, and then the clan, just lived on. Then the people that initially joined on to me, they helped me, teach. They taught me, कि ये events होते हैं. That's how you have to organize it. ये करने से तुमको पैसा मिलता है. ये sale होता है. ये weekly events है.
Did you have a spreadsheet or something?
Not at the time.
Okay.
I actually didn't know what I was doing, and these guys were helping me. So we made a website, and that's when I got introduced to website development.
Okay, so you got early on, you got exposed to players, and now you got exposed to management, because you're managing 200
I didn't know
people.
what that. I mean, not for the term of it, but yeah, that's what it was.
So you got introduced to management, and you got introduced to paperwork.
So interesting story. There is this code to online gaming. You have this etiquette you follow.
Yes.
Like for example, party system. You don't just kick anyone in your party. You don't just kick anyone in your guild.
That
you
is
have
true.
a problem. There's a whole protocol to it.
Yes.
You call in the manager and you're like, hey, this. You call the guild leader and it's like, this guild member. We've got this stuff, and then he comes in, sorts it out. I'm like, यहाँ पे anger management problem solving हो रहा है, and that's crazy because that's how it was. So I was a part of that culture, and then we made our own guild, launched our own website. At this time, I went across different website development platforms. First off, my core goal was like, how do I make a website? Googled it, HTML, learned a little bit of that. Then I was like, dude, this is difficult. We can make it. I learned HTML for at least 6 to 8 solid months, self-taught, and I was like, okay, I can see how it works, and what is tags and everything. Building my first introduction to programming actually. But now I was like, I want to make a proper full-fledged website, and मेरे को backend नहीं आता, कुछ नहीं आता, ना ही मेरे को पता था backend क्या होता है, data कहाँ जाता है, login system कैसे काम करेगा. Simple किया, easy website editors, and उसमें आया what you see is what you get editors, WYS, whatever, WIG, right?
Yes.
And I was like, okay, let's explore these. तभी आया था Wix. Wix actually relatively new था. Webs.com था, Jimdo था, Engine, ENJIN. This was a platform that was available. I went onto these websites, platforms, tried different combinations, and I made my own guild ka website. People came online, and eventually it crashed. See, I was not good at managing at all. I was just a kid, but it was fun. It was some kind of exposure.
How old were you when this happened?
Like I said, 12 or 13. Like 11 to 12 is when I started.
So
12 or 13,
a teenager
went
manager.
on 1 saal chala, and then bad at it. People left. People were mad. I wasn't good at it, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And my officers were managing it. See, the thing is, they were full-time professionals.
Yes.
I was online all the time, जो मैं school bunk करे कर रहा हूँ, and these guys used to come and manage it. They knew what they had to do.
Yeah.
तो यही चलता था. अब after that, introduction to website development, I was like, यार, how difficult would it be to make my own game? Because while I was playing, I love RPG. I really breathed it. Like it's like I went into RPG early on itself, and I loved the entire fantasy element of it. You can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want.
That is true.
Beautiful VFX, graphics, and who doesn't like a generic story with like nice combat, right? So that was my introduction to RPG. I was like, I want to make my own RPG.
Okay.
I'm like, मैंने website बना लिया, अब ये तो बना सकता हूँ मैं. थोड़ा HTML आता है, क्या पता same ही होगा. And then I got introduced to Game Maker. And Game Maker, I'm talking about Game Maker 2D, which was by Yo-Yo Games early on, when it launched. And it was just a 2D editor, again drag and drop interface. that is when I got introduced to logic. Because अब तक देखो HTML में तुम जो भी बनाते हो लॉजिकल नहीं होता है as such इतना ज़्यादा जितना इट्स जस्ट लाइक तुमने एक स्ट्रक्चर बताया उसको विजुअली तुमने सेट कर दिया नेविगेशन है बॉडी है ये हेडर है टेक्स्ट डाला हो जाता है एंड ये जो एडिटर्स है उसमें तो तुम खाली मतलब टेक्स्ट डालते हो और मोस्टली बन जाता है फोरम रेडी होता है मॉड्यूल्स रेडी रहते हैं ये जो टूल है दिस टॉट मी इफ यू क्लिक ऑन दिस रेड बॉल इट्स गोइंग टू मूव फ्यू सेंटीमीटर्स हाउ डू यू डू दैट तो वो लॉजिक कोड बेस वो लूप क्या होता है तो लूप का मेरा फर्स्ट इंट्रोडक्शन यहाँ से हुआ
So all the mechanics, how the logic based. So you did HTML.
Yes.
And now you're getting into game development.
Yeah, editor based. Yeah.
So which softwares were the ones you were?
See, there were too many. Honestly, I initially started with GameMaker, and then I remember there were other engines at the time. One of the most peculiar tools, which honestly this released in 1999. I think it was used for one of the Grand Theft Auto games. I can't be sure.
Okay.
Because you do see it in the intro video as well. It's 3D RAD. Okay. I would urge anybody to look at this tool. It's amazing. It's because you've got, this is my first introduction to a 3D interface. 3D था, उसमें script files थे, और थोड़ा सा funny था because उसके file types I think PNG या JPEG थे, या कुछ तो अलग था. ये अभी भी tool available है, I think like on some third-party websites you can try it out. But 3D RAD was this engine which had like an old 3D interface, and I was introduced to models and materials for the first time. That's how quick it was. And lighting था उसमें skybox था. इसमें तुम गाड़ी उड़ा सकते हो कार रेसिंग कर सकते हो इसमें AI भी था एक लेवल का
1999
ये 1999 का टूल है उसके बाद कितना डेवलप होकर मुझे हाथ में मिला मुझे नहीं पता बट आई वाज लाइक 14 years old when I interacted with this tool.
I'll check that out.
Pretty cool tool.
Yeah.
This RPG Maker was another one and RPG Maker के बाद में एक गेम टूल आया था जो मैंने मल्टीप्लेयर यूज किया था which was Eclipse Origins. It still exists. So you can make 2D MMORPGs at home while just using a 2D interface. It's just drag and drop. You don't need to script really. At this time, these engines actually had their own scripting language. तो मैंने इसी के tutorials, documentations देख के लोग के forum posts देख के कोड कॉपी करके थोड़ा सा सीख के ट्वीक करके बनाया कुछ तो लोगों को दिखाया मेरे MMORPG वाले दोस्तों को दिखाया they liked it. At this time we used to use TeamSpeak, Discord तो था नहीं तो all that voice server setup, getting your own thing. I got into technical process of things to be able to play games, which was the most interesting thing.
So you became an IT guy just to play a game.
Just to stay connected. And this is all I'm doing like in the night, okay? Nobody knows about it.
Okay.
कहाँ से internet bill आ रहा है. So that was my introduction to, developing a little bit of games. I never thought of it professionally, honestly. And then eventually, I got introduced to shooting games and Most Wanted and NFS World afterwards. One of the most interesting things, games that, got famous, Quake. Quake काफी खेला था, cafes में खेला था. तो मैंने थोड़ा रिसर्च भी किया और somehow I came across Unity and Unreal as game engines. And the reason I came across this is because I was trying to,
That time it was not Unity or neither was it UDK.
Oh yeah,
right?
I think Unreal was UDK, it was Unreal Development Kit. That was the engine that I played around with. And then the other one, Unity, I think it wasn't even Unity 3D or Unity, like now it's 6 or 6000. It's not even that. It used to be Unity 5 or something before. It was way before Unity 5 to be honest. मुझे नाम भी याद नहीं है. But
Unity 5 I think so.
Very different interface.
15 या कुछ आया था ना?
मुझे याद भी नहीं honestly speaking.
Wow. Yes.
But this was an old thing, and that's where like things got very complex, and my gaming took a halt. इधर ही पूरा gaming development रुक गया. You'll wonder why. Same time, I was looking at other engines like CryEngine था, Shiva engine एक था, which is not an Indian engine I think.
Okay.
But yeah, this was a famous engine back then that people were working on, and there were
Shiva
several.
engine.
Yeah, Shiva.
Nice.
Cool name, right?
Yeah, it's a cool name.
Yeah, I think it's like S capital V capital Shiva, and then this was a famous engine that back then. And ऐसे थोड़े और engines मैंने देखे थे. Again, this required heavy programming. Unreal, I can't recall fully. Again, I don't even think my brain was or my prefrontal cortex was fully developed at the time. But I don't think there was that much support for it. इतने tutorials नहीं थे, community support नहीं था, ना ही इतना know-how था. And तो मैंने वहाँ पे break लिया because मुझसे games नहीं बन रहे थे, coding नहीं आता था यार. So, and I was very disappointed. I really wanted to do this. I wanted to make my own games. So here's what I did. YCD became famous, and I modded YCD. I remember Spider-Man का वो mod आया था. You can web sling or whatever. Superman का mod you can fly and everything. And ये cheat codes के बाद आया था थोड़ा. So I got into game modding, explored different tools and came across different websites. At this time, for the first time, I saw कि वो जो Tommy Vercetti जो character है, उसका skin ऐसे खुल जाता है PNG में. फिर मैंने उस पर पेंट पे कलर मारा तो आ गया फेस पे. लाइक वो यूवी मैप है. ये मेरे को बाद में 10 साल बाद पता चला. तो So back then, yeah, I download some mods, replaced everything, and मैंने क्या किया? मैंने next level चीज़ किया. मैंने स्कूल में जाके DVD जो होता है 4 GB का बर्न किया मेरा मॉडेड गेम. उस पर मैंने प्रिंट आउट लिया CD के शेप का GTA Vice City के इमेज का, ठीक है, विथ स्पाइडरमैन ऑन इट. पूरा खुद से पेंट में एडिटिंग कुछ तो करके ऑनलाइन टूल्स यूज़ करके कट किया A4 साइज पेपर, फेविकॉल से मैंने चिपकाया CD के ऊपर. इमेजिन CD ट्रे में क्या हुआ होगा. ये मैंने जाके 25 रुपए में बेचा है स्कूल में. I actually did this. So, and I still have friends that cuss me for that कि भाई तू क्या कर रहा था, हमने CDs खरीदे वो.
So you got exposed to different languages and then you got exposed to management and spreadsheet, and now you're becoming a sailor.
Yeah.
Like not sailor. Sorry, not sailor.
Salesman. So absolutely. This game mod करके sales.
कैसे पैसा कमाना?
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's where you got into entrepreneurship, right?
So that was my first stint at business.
So you got into
became an
that,
entrepreneur,
yes, entrepreneur and everything. And where does after that, like, how did you get into the game? Like,
so that's what happened. So I really loved that experience. Okay, I was like, यार ये तो करना है, यही करना है जिंदगी और बहुत पैसे बनाऊंगा मैं.
Okay.
25 रुपए से पैसे बनाऊंगा बहुत सारा. And then after that, I remember distributing the CDs. People give me great feedback. But मुझे again उसके ज़्यादा क्योंकि जितने लोग games mods बनाते थे वो मैं and I got bored of it. यार I was like that hyperactive kid just bouncing from one thing to the other. I landed in animation. Pivot करके एक tool था animation का, Micromedia Flash 8. You know that frame by frame animation like. So I came across Pivot and Pivot के मैं बहुत सारे YouTube पे videos देखता था. देखो WWE was big. I used to play WWE in cafes again. 10 रुपए देके PS खेलो.
I remember that. Yes.
Here comes the pain. Here I come to play PS2, and then Pivot animation I explored because people were making animations of like Rey Mysterio doing his 619 and everything. उसी को लोग 2D को 3D perspective में दिखा रहे हैं and things like that. उसके packs आ रहे तो my frame by frame animation thing started there. That went to Endorphin tool, which was a 3D physics tool which still is used in the industry for high quality physics. I think GTA has used that. Okay. I don't know if they still use it, but they have referred to it a lot for sure. So that was my introduction to Endorphin.
Physics based
animation and keying things and everything. Finally मेरा 3D का तो comfort बन गया था. Multiple tools से multiple controls.
So now you could animate and you could develop.
Yeah.
Or did you learn developing or you're still into that modding?
यार मतलब no technical expertise, no proper textbook expertise. It's all like मैंने click किया क्या हुआ, just personal experience से जितना आता था. I could navigate my way around the tool and make something. उसके बाद मैंने of course YouTube पे थोड़े posting किया तो उसका भी थोड़ा exposure मिला. यहाँ से then I was like, dude, now I'm in like 10th grade and I need to think about my future. And this is where I was like, what do we do now? I can't like take this very seriously because game development करके ऐसा कोई चीज़ था नहीं, ना ही कोई career था. And यहाँ पे मैंने बोला यार let me try because I think बहुत potential है because तभी mobiles पे Symbian Symbian OS था, Java J2ME phones थे, उस पे you had bounce game and checkers ये सब आता था, right?
Yes,
I used to play that a lot. My friends used to play that, and I was like, maybe I don't know if there's an industry or not, but I would love for people to play my game. What do I do? Okay. And I don't even know how to use these engines like Unity and Unreal, and it's time to step up my game. ये 2D games मेरे को अभी नहीं जम रहे. I mean, nothing against 2D, but I wanted to learn more.
It's a different skill set.
Yeah, I wanted to learn more. Just like visualize my concepts, and my concepts were in 3D. So that's when I reached out to this one studio, the only one studio that I knew that used to make games. I had already shifted from Mumbai to Pune at that time, and Pune में एक studio था. And I reached out to them like, क्या करूँ, मेरे को गेम बनाने हैं and इसमें करियर बन सकता है क्या और मैं कुछ पैसे कमा सकता हूँ और मैं कैसे सीखूँ. उन्होंने बोला हम तेरे को ट्यूशन्स दे सकते हैं. I'm like, very good. 30,000 a month. Back then.
Wait.
Yeah.
Back then, 30,000 a month.
Yes.
So if you're going there for even a year, that's 3,60,000.
And I'm not getting paid. This is not my salary. This is what I have to pay them to learn.
So 3,60,000 देके you tuition लगा रहे हो.
हाँ.
And उसके ऊपर फिर वो काम तो कराएंगे आपको.
अब मैं एक आइडिया नहीं बताता हूँ. मैं इतना बुरा स्टूडेंट था ना. मेरे को मैथ्स पसंद भी नहीं था. और मैथ्स में मेरे को 12th में ना 35% आए हैं. Serious. And I'm a programmer designer. I play with math all day long now. So I was very disappointed. Imagine my dreams were shattered. तो मैंने खुद ही इनिशिएटिव लिया. I was like, मैं क्या बना सकता हूँ, वेबसाइट बना सकता हूँ. Enough थोड़ा बनाया. मेरे दोस्त ने बोला यार तू वेबसाइट अच्छा बनाता है, तू बेच. I was like, how will I sell it? Who will buy from a kid like me? That's where Like and Bot started. I think I was 16.
You're going to sell websites?
Yes.
Okay. How did that go then?
Okay. When I started, this friend of him, he had his Connect who wanted a website. He was like, ये बंदा बना सकता है, आप इसको trust करो. मैं गया website बनाने के लिए. जब मैं उनके साथ बैठा website बनाने के लिए, तो they were like, what will you charge? And I'm like, I'm getting paid for this. And then I thought a lot about it. और मेरे मुंह से 10,000 निकला. अब आप समझो, 16 साल का बच्चा आपको बोल रहा है 10,000 रुपए दे दो, मैं वेबसाइट बना दूंगा. ना ही मुझे एक्चुअली उतना अच्छा आता था, बट मुझे डिजाइन सेंस अच्छा था. आई हैव सीन गुड वेबसाइट्स, आई हैड गुड कलर सेंस. अगेन आई डोंट नो टेक्निकली एनीथिंग और लाइक फॉर्मल एजुकेशन. आई न्यू व्हाट could look good. So I went for an office meeting. I'm sitting in front of the CEO, negotiating. They're asking me things. Technically, I can answer. So they had confidence. They were like, you know what, we want to promote you. We want to support you. Go ahead and do this. So that was my first, start at website development. And successfully delivered the website. Had a lot of goof ups. And then I realized, यार जो चीज़ नहीं आती ना, उसको अपने आप commit करो. At least that became my philosophy. Commit and you will figure it out. That was my entire philosophy. I started doing that. In the next 3 years, I think made about 30 plus websites globally. तो मुझे international बहुत सारे references मिले, बहुत सारे client के reference के थ्रू मिले. Client को मेरा काम पसंद आया, they referred again. Many were recurring clients, and some were like through word of mouth and advertising a little bit. मैंने Instagram advertisements, Facebook ads शॉट डाला था, आया था 1-2. आज भी वो Facebook page live है. पुराना page है, 2016 का page है.
Wow.
Now I was making okay money. I think I could call it decent, to be fair. And it was way too good for a student यार. मतलब I was not even in college at this time. 3 साल हो गए ना, अब मुझे college में जाना था. And I had to decide what I want to do. Quite frankly, I was fed up of website development. I hated it. Because it was not that website development is mundane. It was more that I wanted to make games. So and I couldn't. So it felt like that one thing that was just left behind और वो कर ही नहीं पाया मैं, मुझे जाके करना है वो. छूट गया वो यार, रह गया वो. तो मैंने क्या किया फिर, अब रिसोर्सेज आ गए थे, यूनिटी के रिसोर्सेज थोड़े आ गए थे, अनरियल के आ गए थे, थोड़ा सीखना शुरू किया. एंड हियर इज द क्रेजीएस्ट थिंग दैट हैपेंड. आई डोंट नो इफ आई डोंट नो जस्ट डायल पे डाला था, कहाँ डाला था, सीमेड्यू कॉल है मुझे. एंड आई टोल्ड माय मॉम ये कॉलेज जो मेरे को BCA दे रहा है. BCA कंप्यूटर्स में, हाँ तो कंप्यूटर्स में कर रहा है, कर तेरा तो वहाँ पे मार्क्स भी अच्छे आए हैं, तो उसी में घुस जा. हमने ये स्पेशलाइजिंग है मोबाइल एंड गेम डेवलपमेंट उसमें क्या होगा. एंड देन आई थिंक तभी जस्ट एंड्रॉइड आया था. मैंने थोड़े प्ले स्टोर पे दिखाए थे. और वन थिंग आई डिड इज आई मेड माय ओन गेम एंड आई शोड इट टू मॉम बिफोर आई जॉइंड इट. तो मॉम वाज लाइक कन्विंस ठीक है डालो इसको, करेगा शायद कुछ तो करेगा, ये तो वैसे भी पढ़ता भी नहीं है, बहुत जिद्दी बच्चा है. सीमेड्यू में मेरा एडमिशन हुआ. एवरीथिंग वाज ब्यूटीफुल.
Okay, that's.
I don't know. Like,
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm not even trying to like. I'm genuinely not trying to sell this.
I'm happy to hear that.
But okay, the reason, yeah, imagine I've not ever gotten that outlet, and I'm talking to people about games, and games is going to be my career. Like my eyes are sparkling. And before I joined Seam, I had interned at 2 places.
Okay.
Touch Magics was one. Anup Tapadia, it's in Pune itself, so I got connected. He was a family friend, and we got. I didn't complete that. I just attended for a few sessions, and I got a experience of what a studio looks like. And I was like, इसका ऑफिस यार, ये चलता है पूरा चीज़, ये UK में चलता है, मस्त है ये चीज़. तो उसके बाद I remember I also got an internship at DSK Green Eyes Games. And when I was interning at DSK, again this was before I had even graduated or even I think entered Seamedu. I had interned at DSK Green Eyes Games, and I met one of our faculties there. Anirudh was there. I think
Joglegar. Yes.
And I had met him there
he,
for a very brief moment. And then I recognized him later when, he became a faculty. But yes.
Oh, he used to head the department back then, right? Like,
yes.
I think so. 2020, 21.
Yes,
he was
2021. Yeah.
Yes.
That was right after I graduated. My batch was 2016 to 2019.
Okay.
So उसके बाद में I was a faculty there. I joined as a faculty there.
Okay. So
yeah.
Right after graduation, he joined as a faculty.
Yeah, I got a call. You do good at what you do. Would you like to share this? And I was very skeptical. Like, यार मैं education में जाऊँ, मुझे production में भी जाने का option है. इसके बीच में मैंने एक और internship की थी, Reliance Games में की थी मैंने as a programmer. And it was a very brief internship. And after that, I was like, यार education में मुझे जाना है because I want to still learn more. I'm not done learning. देखो क्या हो गया, जैसे ही मैं game develop करने लगा, engine में, I realized यार, you can't just program. There's so much more to it. डिज़ाइन है, डेवलपमेंट के बाद में आर्ट है, टेक्निकल आर्ट है, लेवल डिज़ाइन, वर्ल्ड बिल्डिंग, ये सब मेरे को सभी पता लगा. एंड ये सीम के होलसेल एक्सपोर्ट में मिला, मुझे पता भी नहीं था. फैकल्टीज टोल्ड मी दिस इज गेम डिज़ाइन व्हाटएवर. आई रिमेंबर वी हैड अ डिफरेंट HOD बैक देन. ही वाज अगेन अ ग्रेट गेम डिज़ाइनर. ही टॉट अस अबाउट HCI, व्हाट इज ह्यूमन कंप्यूटर इंटरेक्शन.
Yes.
पढ़ते हैं लोग, साइकोलॉजी है. And instantly connected because again I've spent so much time with games, I could relate to everything.
And you already
so
know
I went
about the
from
economy
player
system
to
and everything.
developer. That's the time I went from a player to like building games.
Yes.
And wahan se then it became like became a faculty. Was happy to bring my knowledge on board. I had a lot of skill set because again my experience with games engines was like now almost 10 years. Yeah, Unity, Unreal, Cry. I had even worked Amazon लंबी आठ तो बाद में आया था, but 2D engines.
So you mentioned Reliance, mein, right?
Haan.
But I recall like you have also worked at Reliance after graduation.
Yes, just before that actually, while I was graduating, right?
Yes.
Something very cool happened. There was this guy. Again, मैं तो Unity का देख रहा था ना कौन क्या बना रहा है. तभी सारे devlogs, I don't know, उतने famous नहीं थे. YouTube भी चल रहा था तभी तो मैं गया and I was like वो recently uploaded, made a game or game development in Unity. एक जन का game ऊपर आया. It was called Reign of Darkness. And I got interested. I was like, I need to check what this is. It's a cool MMORPG. And I was like, यार, I've been playing RPGs now 7 years. मेरे को देखना ही क्या है. मैंने comment डाला and उसका Discord channel था and somehow उसने comment पे respond किया. मैं Discord पे गया उसके. I got connected. He onboarded me to the game. I joined his beta test.
Okay.
So this guy was Tyler Smith, Unorthodox LLC का co-founder or founder. He was the main guy. He was the first. He was the person that started it all. And I got connected with him. And then he was like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a game development student. And that's how we connected. And he was like, hey, you're good. Why don't you try making a script for me? And then I was like, yeah, this is good. Because I was initially testing. He liked my design ideas. And then we got connected. And I got the project access. And I just started developing with him. So I got connected to back-end systems, smart, jo bhi servers the, and front-end. And then we released that game on Steam.
It's on Steam?
It's on Steam.
Oh,
we
nice.
released it in, I think, November 2019. This was my final year again. 2019 I graduated.
Okay.
तो जैसे मेरा graduation हुआ उसके बाद वो release हो गया May के बाद में. But I was not there at the final time of release. But yeah, we released the game on Steam. I've written the Steam code and everything. जो भी inventory का था, थोड़ा बड़ा archery का था, etc. So I got proper exposure into professional development, and I saw full game being developed at scratch, from scratch.
So
with MMORPG and economy and balancing.
Yeah,
and
that's
live
what I was going to
players.
say.
We had
Yes.
live players. I was mentoring players and guiding them, taking their feedback. मुझे पूरा live ops experience मिल गया था.
What was the name
Before
again?
I graduated, it's REIGN of Darkness, Reign of Darkness. It's on Steam.
Okay.
You'll see some devlogs. I think it's discontinued on Steam right now. There was again, it was just a 2-person team, and then I think Tyler
Yes.
was alone afterwards, and then he had another person, a small team. But yeah, that's a crazy effort. You should actually have to look at it. Beautiful game. So that was the experience. After which I went to Reliance for internship, and then back to Steam because I realized इतना बहुत सीखना बाकी है. काफी ज़्यादा सीखना बाकी है. I used to see Tyler ये क्या कर रहा है 3D में, he's doing models and UV maps and everything, and I was like, dude, I got to learn that, like, because I want to make my RPG game tomorrow,
Okay.
and I want to make my own kind of games. And got into Seamedu, started educating, started learning a lot myself, started sharing, and it was more a process of like learning through sharing experiences. So I saw students there, what they used to bring in their concepts, what they wanted to learn, what they've already learned, new concepts, and we used to make games in like groups and everything. So that used to be fun. I learned a lot through that, and other faculties. I used to learn a lot from other faculties, like what's design. I remember we had another faculty called Mangesh who was heading game design. Anirudh was heading game design.
Yes.
Learned so much from them, and honestly, like जितना time मेरे को मिलता था, जाके सीखो जितना होता है.
हाँ,
बाकी आर्ट का सीखो.
उनके साथ तो गेम जैम हम लोगों ने बहुत किए थे.
So I used this time to learn a lot.
I remember the game jam we hosted. 2021. 2021,
Yes.
I think so. We hosted the game jam.
Yes.
Back in Balewadi, I think so.
Yes.
Out there.
Yeah,
And we spent the whole
different
night.
office,
We came up with a beautiful game concept. Unfortunately, we never were able to finish it because we were paying attention to the
How many
students.
unfinished products do we have now?
Oh, as an artist, if you don't have an unfinished project, then
How
it's
many
not
unfinished
counted.
deleted projects do you have?
So now let me just come back to
Yeah.
one thing is, you have become a developer now, you became a
Yes.
designer, you worked in Reliance as a designer and developer, and you headed an entire project, right?
Yes.
So you got the hang of, or rather I would say you saw the industry
Yes.
grow from, in India it was a very small amount,
Right.
and then at now. So how you can shed the light on that, like what the current Indian industry or the
We're
game
in a good
industry?
space. People keep talking about how the industry is so low. Global
Yes.
economy has taken a hit.
Yes, that is everywhere.
True. But there's some very interesting stats. Like I'll just show you something I'm just gonna like Google something very quick and like talk about this because stats keep changing. They come from different places.
Okay.
Uh,
So what are you
Okay.
Googling?
just gaming industry.
Current
trends,
gaming,
right?
yeah. Or stats?
Okay, so I have something here. This is by PwC, and here's what they say. This is a post from 2024, by the way.
Yeah.
It's October 2024, 14th October.
Almost
And
a year back.
here's what it says. India's online gaming industry is estimated to double to 66,000 crore by 2028. So it's growing.
66,000 crore
by
by
2028.
2028.
Now, when you say double,
Current market should be 33, and
it's building anyway. Again, it also says with the potential to create another 2 to 3 lakh jobs in the next few years. So there's always more job opportunities. The revenue is always going up. I also saw another interesting link just now. Let me quickly open it up.
sure. But so right now will be the best time to get into the gaming industry, so
Absolutely.
you can come up on the top by the time you're done.
There was this one. So, there's this reports that Sensor Tower often makes.
Yeah.
And this is all based on mobile gaming. Reason being that 90% of India's gaming, happens on mobiles.
Yeah, that's true.
It's that. And mobile gaming is the biggest revenue maker right now. It's easy, it's accessible, everyone has a mobile. It's free to play games.
खेला है जो मम्मी ने
Live ops transition हो गया है.
हाँ, जो मम्मियों ने बच्चों को डाटा गेम खेलने के लिए
खुद
वो खुद
1000
बैठ
levels
के
खेल चुके
गेम
हैं.
खेल रहे हैं.
Yeah.
And this is all over the world.
Yeah.
खाली इंडिया में नहीं.
No, but here's the craziest thing. I was just about to bring this up. I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
India is the world's and Asia's biggest mobile gaming market.
क्या बात कर रहा
Yes, India is.
Wow.
The world's and Asia's biggest mobile gaming market. So if you're making even local games, you have so much, potential here. So honestly, yeah, I'll just encourage people to go look at their stats and reports right now.
I would love
अच्छा
those
opportunity
sites.
है, बहुत ज़्यादा data है to back it up as well. And see, to be fair, at the end of the day, if you do what you love, we are currently in an era where people are quitting job and doing YouTube full time. People are quitting job and starting their own studios, and
Yes.
you can do all that. But
So
it
you
all
can
depends on
become a
how passionate you are and how serious you are to do something. Of course, have your backup. I mean, yeah, that's what people do.
We have influencers, we have YouTube channels. Perfectly right. Yes.
Let's not even go there. I mean, we have students.
Students, yes.
We have a student, I think it was Chinmay Gawande and Mrunal Bodke. They started this studio called Parody Studios.
Yes.
There are students, they graduated, they launched a game. One of their games got infamous.
So, yeah, you can't take the name right now.
I had to personally take Mrunal's permission to talk about it. And Mrunal was like, yeah, talk about it because that's what started it.
But we can't talk about the game.
We can't talk about the game.
Which got into controversy.
Just for people that are watching this, this game, it got good media attention because of a little bit of a controversy.
Yes.
It was
because
like a
of
creative
certain
idea.
names taken.
Yeah.
It was a creative and a
Idea,
parody.
Parody, they approached it from a parody again. They were students, they approached it from a parody aspect.
No, we have students like Mrunal who did the gully cricket also. Cricket gully
exactly.
is creating. I have students who are creating games. Right.
And these games, so here's what's interesting about them and what I want to highlight, right? These games weren't just games that they were like fully pulling money into and everything. They started the studio with a very serious motive, right? They knew they wanted to make a game. They knew it would take time, it would take finance.
Yes.
And they knew they had a skill set. They had a team that they needed to, mobilize. They have marketed the services and fed that. So even with so all of the studios I know, or at least most of the studios I know, they're not backed by a big funding. They're not backed by oh हमने 3 साल से गेम पे काम किया या 2 साल से हम लोग काम किया, कॉन्सेप्ट रेडी है, गेम का प्रोटोटाइप रेडी है, हमको फंडिंग मिल गया, बहुत पैसा आ गया, अब मैं अपना कंपनी शुरू कर सकता नहीं. These guys have offered their services से पैसा कमा रहे हैं, उसी से वो गेम काम कर रहे हैं, they are doing their grind. And that's how they're running the entire thing. It's working out. We have other students that instead of going into studios and games, they have taken the same skill set and started their own YouTube channel. I mean, Israel Rangrezi, right?
Yes.
He has his own YouTube. I think when he started, I think around 10 या 20,000 थे या 2,000 तो मुझे याद नहीं है, but उसके subscribers तभी just initially start हो रहे थे when he joined at Seamedu as a student. And I remember first year to third year he was all like busy with his stuff, and I was like, what are you doing? What are you investing into? And I
class में तो आ.
उसका but consistency अच्छा था YouTube पे. And उसके बाद में it's just shot up. He's now at 1 lakh I think on YouTube, 1 lakh subscribers on YouTube, and he's getting good views. He's working with the VFX industry. He's working with films right now. He's doing a lot of virtual production, all Unreal, and his skill sets have really scaled up.
That is great to hear.
Yeah, I mean people are doing different stuff with the same skill set. So industry में बहुत potential है, बहुत opportunities है.
There's a lot of exposure and you can branch out to a lot of things, just not in gaming, but Even if you learn this and then you can do. But talking about that, talking about all my students, all our students, and talking about everybody going other way. Since you have been in the industry for so long, right? And you have trained freshers as project manager, and you have welcomed freshers.
Right.
What would you say is the main do's and don'ts of a fresher when they're joining the industry?
So when I joined Reliance afterwards,
okay,
right after Seamedu, I was full-time with Seamedu, left Seamedu, joined Reliance Games as a game designer.
Yes.
I had my own growth to do. I started as an associate game designer, and then I was working with casual studios. So Reliance mein we have Zapak Games, all casual studios. We have multiple games that are runner games, Subway Surface. We have like Little Krishna and many other games like that, Little Singham, so on.
Can you tell the game you worked on?
All of them. All the runner games, like multiple of them, like Little Singham. There was Smashing Simba, which I worked a little bit on, a similar engine that we had. Then Little Krishna was again a little bit that I dabbled into. There was T20 cricket champions and all those games. So all the cricket games and the endless runner games was mainly working on that. And that's when I got into live ops and everything. So I was like one of the few, we had I think a small design team at that time. उसके बाद में when I scaled, I went into the global team. I started working with bigger IPs like Real Steel and WWE, and then other designers got onboarded. At this time, I was working with a lot of students that also joined from Seamedu, and I realized at that time कि knowledge gap है. Industry में जो required है और जो हम सीख रहे हैं उसमें थोड़ा gap है.
Okay.
Including my own syllabus when I was studying, right?
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, यहाँ पे जो जैसा company चलता है, it's a very different thing. Because when we think about games, I'm like, dude, I want to make this, beautiful story with characters and animation वो सब. But game का psychology बहुत intricate है. This is a story for success. There's a formula for success, or at least a blueprint or a guideline for it.
Yes.
You talk about design, there's heuristics of design. And then you talk about, even stuff like, if you're talking about narrative, there's always the hero's journey. There's always some kind of a, framework for design and framework for everything.
So, what would you advise our upcoming students or freshers who are going to join the...
This journey, you can't really fast track it. Okay? You can't be like, I want to go out and make my GTA.
Yes.
You can be like that. And it's fine. You will fail. But that's going to be a part of the process. Okay? You're gonna have to fail 1,000 times to get good at something, because being good at something is not how properly you do it. It's knowing what not to do.
I remember the old Ragnarok. Have you played Ragnarok MMO?
Not Ragnarok, no.
So there was only grind. There was nothing else. The drop rate was 0.1%.
Yeah. I mean, so is with every MMO. I've been playing Neverwinter for like 7 years, Elder Scrolls Online, so hardcore RPG.
So we are used to, what do we say?
Yeah, you do
grinding.
Incremental, So my whole thing with students is like, students often have this ambition that I want to come in and make a lot. But there are two aspects to it. See, one is the entertainment aspect. You're going to have to cater to the gamers, right?
Yes.
Gamers want a beautiful experience. But at the end, you have to be able to monetize it and, understand the ethics as well. You can't just sell everything as an IP or everything as an advertisement. But you need to know a strategy for monetization. There's a success to, even making a fun game. तो बहुत बार क्या होता है, स्टूडेंट्स जब आते हैं तो वो ये नहीं सोचते हैं कि गेम का डिज़ाइन क्या होगा या आर्ट का बैलेंस कैसा होगा, कॉन्सेप्ट क्या होगा, इसका यूज़र जर्नी क्या होगा. देयर जस्ट लाइक, मेरे गेम में फाइटिंग होगा, विलेंस होंगे, गाड़ी होगी. आई डोंट वांट टू मेक इट दैट जेनरिक, बट पीपल डोंट थिंक beyond that, and it takes experience with development to get ideas. So one of the biggest things that I can, and the only thing I can suggest is, you will hear a lot of things, start developing, start experimenting, learn a lot of tools, fail very fast, and don't get disappointed, and just keep trying, because everyone starts there.
So we have talked a lot.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things.
Yeah.
So let's just bring it to the end.
Yeah.
Before I say goodbyes or end it, I would like to ask you one last question. Coming back to Seam, welcome back. Right. And I'm happy you're back.
Yeah.
I'm happy you're back because you can handle the design and the development. So that is stress-free for me. But how do you feel about it?
Very interesting. This entire journey has been very interesting for me, and I'm really excited to be back because having been in the industry, having played several roles, having even developed applications for clients as Lycanbot and having managed a studio, everything, I've realized there's so much that we don't learn by just making a game, and I'm very excited to bring that to the students. because that entire wholesome culture that we've always had in Seamedu, I could immediately connect it. Like, I remember we used to do game jams, like, 5 art ke students, 5 programming students, एक project manager banega, and I was like, kya kar rahe hum log? But now it all makes sense. So I think it's fun because I have so many examples to bring back, and yeah, it'll be good to work with the industry. Now industry is growing, there's a lot more opportunity, and students are sharper. Students have so much more access to all the contents
and everything.
I think over time, even we have been able to streamline things so well that I think it's just become a lot more digestible for students. So yeah, pretty excited to be back.
Excited to have you here. So yes, that was Krishna Kumar, and thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Frames. Today's episode reminded us that growth isn't about titles. It's about your journey, it's about your intentions, curiosity, and at the end, what you want to build, and you need to build that.
Absolutely.
End of story, right? Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. If you like it, share it, and please follow us. I'm Tanmay Datta. Thank you.